What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, the Chosen by God channel, where we freely discuss our experiences as a chosen one, and where scripture is our guide and our proof. So what I want to talk about today is validation. Validation is the word of this video, the word of the day. Okay, so the meaning of validation is someone saying, hey, you did a good job, or showing some kind of respect to you. And many times we seek that validation. And then when we don't get it, it's an issue. Seeking validation can get your feelings hurt, get you knocked off your pedestal, get you scarred, get you scorned, and they could bring lifeless entities into your life. Seeking validation can do these things to you. We grew up in a world, we grew up in a world seeking validation. Like, whoever has the most money gets the most respect. Mob movies. Whoever has the biggest house is the more blessed. Whoever's driving the nicest car, gets the most girls. Those are forms of validation. And seeking validation can lead to other things that we don't need in our life. Now, if you want to be validated, the best way to ever be validated is by who you're validated by. It's not about what you have. It's not about how much you have. It's about who validates. The best validation anybody could ever have is God's validation. God is the only one that can truly give you some kind of approval in your life. Everybody else is just irrelevant. So I'm going to give you a little background about validation. While I was growing up, I grew up in a big family. And it was almost like we pretty much all had to, not necessarily compete. You don't want to call it compete, but we all had to, like, to get a hug or get a good, a right on, or a good, hey, that's a great job you did type, thing. We had to do certain things. And I'm sure a lot of people that grew up in a family with, 5 brothers, 5 sisters, 12 brothers and sisters, 13 brothers and sisters, you were seeking, whether you knew it or not, that validation, that hey, good job, wonderful thing, that you've done. You were seeking those things, not even knowing. Some of us didn't even know that's what we were doing, but that's what we were doing. Growing up in a big family, like I said, can lead to competition. But that's a whole nother story. Competition. So, growing up, that's embedded in you as a child. That's embedded in you. So as you get older, of course, because you sought out validation from your family members and your mother and your father, as a teenager, you try to achieve as much as you can, because whether you know it or not, you're still seeking validation. You feel like that's just how the world goes. If I do a good job, I'll get this reward. If I do this, I'll get that from people, from mommy, from daddy, from sister, from brother. But in my case, I never got the validation that I seeked. I never got it. And it caused me to seeking that validation. It caused me not to set boundaries, because at this point, I'm gonna do anything for the validation. Even after I left my parents' house, after I left my grandmother's house, I'm out looking for this validation from somebody, because that's what I'm thinking, that's what I need to have. And when you're out seeking that validation, you attract the wrong type of people. You know that? Meaning, you'll do anything. You'll do whatever just to get a pat on the back, because you didn't get it where you came from. And so I literally would jump into the wrong type of relationships looking for validation. And while I'm in these relationships, these niggas ain't giving me validation either, and I'm doing everything I can. Okay? I'm doing everything. I'm trying to make sure I can get this validation. I can get this congratulations. I can get this thank you from whomever I was in a relationship with, and never got it. No, let me rewind. Let me take that back. The very first relationship I got into, this person was the first person to ever validate me. But because I never received it, and because I never knew what it was like to be validated, I sabotaged that situation, because you doing something wrong. You doing something nobody else did. So instead of me accepting the validation I was getting, You know, how no matter how little it was, no matter how big it was, I didn't know how to treat it. And that ended that. That pretty much it all boiled down to in that situation. I ain't putting the blame, and hopefully, well, maybe he's pointing blame. But I guess he didn't understand or know that I didn't know anything about what you were trying to do. You know, I had no idea. It's never been done to me before. So, you executing this validation I didn't know what it was. I'm just put it like that. I had no idea. So that was, that was my mistake. Something I never knew before. But at the end of the day, back to this validation. Anyway, you go through our life seeking this validation. You never get it. And then if you do get it, you don't know what it is. So you run back to the same thing that you were used to. Unknowingly you sabotage and break up good relationships because you don't know what this validation thing is. Like I said, validation can lead into other things: competition, insecurity, no boundaries, no way of, and just, well, I want to say is whenever you do get to the point where you're just like, you know what, because at some point, when as you're growing up and you're realizing how, relationships and things that you want from other people is just not working out for you. You get to the point where you want to stand on your own 2 feet. And the Lord, this is what God would do. He's going to take you through a process. He's going to take you through a lot of hurt, some pain, and that's just to, kind of wake you up to what he needs you to be or what he wants you to be. So the first thing I had to work on when I said, you know what, I don't want to keep going through life, going through the things that I'm going through, relationships not working out, me not getting along, things just not the way they're supposed to be. You don't want to keep going through that. So the first thing I had to do was get rid of validation. I began to have to tell myself, I don't need nobody to validate me. I can get out here and get what I need to get on my own. I don't need no help. Not at that time, not knowing God as the one that's pushing me to say, you don't need no help. You don't need these people. I got you. Telling me the whole time he got me, but guess what? At that time I wasn't hearing it. All in my heart and my mind is, I'm finna get out here and make this happen for myself. So that's what I was doing. No matter how much. And then once I did get out here and start trying to make moves on my own and make things happen for myself, that's when all the people that I wanted to validate me wanted to show up and try to say, oh, I did this and I did that, and you did nothing. Absolutely. Like, that's how I felt. Like, you did nothing for me. Even when I wanted you to validate and tell me I'm doing a good job and things like that, and you didn't. You didn't. So, by you not seeking, I'm talking about family members, by you not seeking their validation, or exes, you're not seeking their validation anymore. They want to take credit for the things that God brought you through. But all the credit goes to the Lord. Glory be to God. All the credit goes to God. So, I'm saying all this to say, well, I'm trying to explain this the best way I can right now, because I'm not used to doing YouTube videos and things like that. But I know God got something in me that He wants me to share, and so I'm gonna do what the Lord told me to do. I'm saying all this to say, when God becomes a part of your situation, when you're ready to stand on your own 2 feet, and you don't have anybody else, you don't want to depend on anybody, God gonna step in and say, you know what? You didn't have to depend on nobody. You didn't have to depend on them. You didn't have to depend on this person or that person. All you needed was me. Let Him in. Because even if you don't have anybody, family members or whoever, you'll have God. And God is the only validation you need. He's the only stamp of approval you need. You don't need other people. You don't need your mama. You don't need your daddy. You don't need your sister. You don't need your brother. Only God is the only validation you should seek. God approval from God is the only approval you should seek. So I just wanted to get on here and express my opinion on validation. It's not even my opinion, but the Lord gave me that word. Validation kept sticking out to me because of all the stuff that I went through trying to get validated by everybody. And then it got to the point where I realized I didn't need to be validated by nobody. God was the only one I needed to be validated. He's the only one that gave me a real stamp of approval. Because everybody else out here, y'all, they saw. Y'all just men. Y'all just men with no power. No real power. Y'all a bunch of men and people who seeking validation themselves and don't understand and know that you have to go to God to get the real approval. Other than that, everything else will fall. Everything else will fail. Because you looking at men to give you what you need instead of God. So, like, comment, subscribe, leave me a voice, leave me a message. Comment, go down in the comment box and say something. I want to hear what everybody else has to say about validation. I appreciate y'all. Bye.